What's up, everybody? I'm Max Scoville filling in for Stella Chung, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all of the gaming and entertainment headlines that you may have missed this week. Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard has been blocked in the UK, plus a brand new sequel to Horizon Forbidden West is being teased. In the entertainment world, Nintendo has confirmed that more movies based on their properties will come down the line, and we break down the new trailer for the Flash movie. Stella, I hope I don't let you down. It's newsin' time!
The UK government's Competition and Markets Authority, or CMA, has moved to prevent Xbox's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The decision to block the deal wasn't due to anything related to Call of Duty after all. It was because of the implications for cloud gaming. The CMA said the deal would alter the future of the fast-growing cloud gaming market, leading to reduced innovation and less choice for UK gamers over the years to come. Microsoft retaliated by saying it will appeal the decision, saying it is disappointed by the result that, quote, appears to reflect a flawed understanding of this market. Brad Smith, vice chair and president of Microsoft, said, "We remain fully committed to this acquisition and will appeal." The CMA's decision rejects a pragmatic path to address the competition concerns and discourages technology innovation and investment in the United Kingdom. We've already signed contracts to make Activision Blizzard's popular games available on 150 million more devices, and we remain committed to reinforcing these agreements through regulatory remedies. The CMA said Microsoft failed to provide a solution to its concerns over the deal's impact on the cloud gaming market. While the CMA deemed that Xbox making Activision Blizzard games like Call of Duty exclusive to its consoles wouldn't make sense, it did not reach the same decision about cloud gaming. It said, Microsoft has a strong position in cloud gaming services, and the evidence available to the CMA showed that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision's games exclusive to its own cloud gaming service. The deal would reinforce Microsoft's advantage in the market by giving it control over important gaming content such as Call of Duty, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft. The evidence available to the CMA indicates that, absent the merger, Activision would start providing games via cloud platforms in the foreseeable future. Now, Martin Coleman, chair of the independent panel conducting the Xbox investigation, said, cloud gaming is growing fast with the potential to change gaming by altering the way games are played, freeing people from the need to rely on expensive consoles and gaming PCs, and giving them more choice over how and where they play games. This means that it is vital that we protect competition in this emerging and exciting market. Microsoft already enjoys a powerful position and head start over other competitors in cloud gaming, and this deal would strengthen that advantage, giving it the ability to undermine new and innovative competitors. Cloud gaming needs a free, competitive market to drive innovation and choice that is best achieved by allowing the current competitive dynamics in cloud gaming to continue to do their job. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick said in an open letter to staff that while the CMA's decision to block the deal wasn't good news for the companies, quote, it is far from the final word. Kotick vowed to join Microsoft in contesting the decision and said work has already begun to appeal it in the UK Competition Appeals Tribunal. He said, we're confident in our case because the facts are on our side. This deal is good for competition. The CMA's decision is perhaps the most pivotal milestone in Xbox's acquisition of Activision Blizzard so far and has been a long time coming. The UK government department announced it would be conducting an investigation into the $68.7 billion deal last summer, with its progression being watched carefully by the entire industry. A lot of the conversation revolved around Call of Duty exclusivity, but Microsoft reportedly offered Sony a 10-year deal to guarantee the franchise would continue to appear on PlayStation. In March, the CMA seemed to soften its stance against the merger, which makes today's decision quite surprising. We will continue to follow this story here at IGN. In more bad news for Microsoft, its latest earnings report for the last 3 months show that Xbox hardware sales are down 30% year over year. CFO Amy Hood did say that the prior year was riding a high of increased console supply. However, I can't help but wonder if the complete lack of big exclusives for over a year now had anything to do with it. What's more, Microsoft's overall gaming revenue was down 4%, although Hood actually said that decline was ahead of expectations, so not as bad as they thought. Xbox content and services revenue, which includes Game Pass, was up slightly by 3%. There has, of course, been virtually no Xbox exclusives released over the past year and change. It might be that Game Pass, while still a great deal, isn't doing enough of the heavy lifting to replace big exclusive games and entice people to buy an Xbox. However, we've got Redfall coming out next week and Starfield in September. Over the next quarter, Hood said, we expect Xbox content services revenue growth in the low to mid-teens, driven by third-party and first-party content as well as Xbox Game Pass. Let's switch gears to Nintendo Switch. The company has announced it will return to Gamescom in Germany this August. Earlier this year, Nintendo said it would not be attending E3 in June, and then of course, E3 ended up being canceled altogether. But Gamescom is actually a much bigger show in terms of attendance, and Nintendo hasn't been on the show floor since 2019. Although to be fair, the 2020 and 2021 Gamescoms were online events because of the pandemic. So Nintendo is returning to Gamescom and has its own Nintendo Live show happening in Seattle in September. The company is making moves. I can't help but think this is it. We are finally getting new Nintendo hardware. Whether it's a more powerful Switch or a new system altogether, I can't say, but it's definitely time. The aging Switch hardware is 6 years old and light years behind other current-gen consoles. In any case, IGN will be at Gamescom later this summer, so whatever Nintendo has up its sleeve, we will check it out and report back to you. Gary Bowser, not to be confused with Doug Bowser, the Nintendo of America CEO, or Bowser the Koopa King, was sentenced in 2021 to 40 months in prison and a $14.5 million fine for his role in Nintendo Hacking Group team executor. He was just released from jail, but it's possible the massive amount of money he now owes in restitution will impact the entire rest of his life and livelihood. Bowser was indicted back in 2020 for activities as part of Team Executor, a hacking ring that sold chips allowing users to play pirated games. Despite seemingly having a smaller role in the operation as its marketing and PR manager, Bowser was the only one ultimately tried and convicted in the US. Bowser was initially charged with 11 felonies, including wire fraud, conspiracy to circumvent technological measures, trafficking in circumvention devices, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Bowser pled guilty to 2 of the charges and was sentenced to first a $4.5 million fine and later a $10 million additional fine, as well as up to 40 months in prison. In a recent interview with podcaster Nick Moses, Bowser claims that of the $14.5 million he owes, he has only been able to pay off $175 thus far, taken out in $25 monthly installments from his income from a job in the prison library. Should Bowser find a job at home in Canada, he says his pay will continue to be docked until the full amount is paid off, though his agreement with Nintendo only allows between 25 and 30% of his pay to be docked at a time. Previously, Bowser stated that while Team Executor earned at least tens of millions of dollars of proceeds, he himself only received a small fraction of that. Nintendo has historically been extremely aggressive when dealing with hackers and other perceived violations of its copyright, having previously gone after influencers, modders, ROM sites, and even other video games like Sony's Dreams. During Bowser's trial, U.S. District Judge Robert Lasnik reportedly said that Bowser's sentence was in part a message to deter other hackers. In happier Nintendo news, its latest Indie World Showcase provided release dates for some long-delayed games along with a handful of surprise releases. Among them, we finally got our first glimpse of Blasphemous 2, and Oxenfree 2 got a release date. The Blasphemous 2 trailer features the return of the Penitent One and the original game's trademark pixel art. Players can expect new weapons, an expanded moveset, progression systems, and custom builds. It launches on Nintendo Switch this summer. The biggest news out of the showcase might be that Oxenfree 2 officially has a release date. Set 5 years after the original game, it will star Riley as she returns to her hometown to investigate strange electromagnetic waves, and will feature a new walkie-talkie system that allows her to communicate with other characters. Oxenfree 2 is now scheduled to be released July 12th, with pre-orders available now. Meowza Games' long-in-development Mineko's Night Market finally received a release date. First announced way back in 2015, Mineko's Night Market turned heads with its beautiful watercolor graphics, focus on Japanese mythology, and hordes of cats. Put cats in your game and people will notice. Players control Mineko as they explore, craft objects, befriend townsfolk, and take part in the local night market, where they can sell virtually everything they find. Mineko's Night Market launches September 26th on Nintendo Switch and has also been announced for PC. Rift of the Necrodancer received a new trailer. A spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer, Rift is a rhythm game with lane-based combat, powerful monsters, and boss fights. In other words, it's Guitar Hero with monster battles. It'll be out later this year. Shadows of Loathing, the sequel to West of Loathing, the spin-off of browser-based MMO Kingdom of Loathing, was released on Nintendo Switch yesterday. Featuring the same black and white stick figure art as its predecessor, Shadows of Loathing shifts the setting to a 1920s period filled with mobsters, monsters, and mysteries. Despite the time period change, Shadows of Loathing will retain the original sense of humor. Now, Shadows of Loathing wasn't the only game shadow dropped yesterday. Rain Games announced that Teslagrad 2, a physics-based puzzler in which you harness electromagnetic powers, is out on Nintendo Switch now. What's more, Rain Games is also releasing a remastered version of the original. Those are the biggest announcements out of the Indie Showcase. For the full list, head on over to IGN.com.
I know Horizon Forbidden West's new DLC, Burning Shores, only just dropped last week on the 19th, but we have more game update news for Horizon fans. Horizon developer Guerrilla Games reorganized their internal management structure, and the updated roster on their website showed that a Horizon Forbidden West sequel was in the works. Guerrilla posted a message on their site about their studio director and executive producer, Angie Smets, starting a new role as head of development strategy at PlayStation Studios after nearly 20 years at Guerrilla Games. The post revealed that the management team that will lead New Horizon games now consists of studio veterans Joel Eschler, Hella Schmidt, and Jan Bart van Beek. The message also said, quote, "We have full confidence in our new leadership as they steer Guerrilla towards a bright future, expanding the world of Horizon with Aloy's next adventure and our exciting online project." This statement correlates with what creative director Matthias de Jong previously said about how Forbidden West had been set up with a cliffhanger to lead into the plot of a third game. Jong also went on to say that Horizon is about uncovering the mysteries of the new and old world, and that, quote, "There is plenty of backstory that we can tap into to develop new storylines and create new mysteries from what we've already established." So it seems they have a pretty solid idea of what they want to make for Horizon's third game. As for the online game Guerrilla mentioned in their most recent post, there's an online multiplayer Horizon game in development that's supposed to include a brand new cast of characters and a unique stylized look. What that means, we'll have to wait to find out, but it's so great to know that this is all confirmed and very real and is in development currently. What do you think the next Horizon story will focus on? Give us your best video game pitches. I have even more good news for everyone. If you've been fiending for more Diablo 4 like I have, you'll be excited to know that Diablo is coming back with one last open beta. In their live stream last Friday, Blizzard announced that a Server Slam open beta would be free for anyone to play. As the name suggests, the Server Slam is supposed to test Diablo servers to ensure the developers can create as smooth of a launch as possible. This open beta will release Friday, May 12th at 12 p.m. PST and close at 12 p.m. PST on Sunday. If you played the first two betas, none of your characters or progress will carry over, unfortunately. Also, none of the progress you make in this Server Slam will be carried over to the official game launch either. But if you defeat the world boss Ashava, you'll be rewarded with an exclusive mount trophy in the full game when it does release. Since the last two betas, there have been a lot of balance changes and adjustments made to the game and classes, so it'll be a great opportunity to see how those feel and give additional feedback to Blizzard about Diablo 4. The max cap for leveling this open beta is level 20 instead of 25, so it's less of a grind than before. The Server Slam will be open to all players on any platform, and it also includes 2-player couch co-op on consoles if you want to get your siblings in on the demon slaying. The Server Slam is in 2 weeks, so make sure to clear your calendars for that weekend.
It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going over the new trailer dropped by DC Studios for The Flash, plus we dive into what future Nintendo films could be in production soon. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. After the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Shigeru Miyamoto himself has confirmed that Nintendo will look into making more movies. But first, we got a little bit more gaming news to cover, so let's jump back into it.
Deep Silver and Dambuster Studios announced that Dead Island 2 has sold over 1 million copies within the first 3 days of release. A press release reads, Dead Island 2 has won fans from around the world, with countless players snapping up a copy of the drop-dead gorgeous game in the first 72 hours. I'm pretty sure the number of players is actually countable, but kudos for the gore pun. In-game stats are also revealed detailing how many players performed certain actions. Thus far, players have slayed 1.1 billion zombies, hacked off 756 million zombie limbs, and sliced 45 million zombies in half. Additionally, players spent a combined total of 11 million hours with the game and collectively died 28 million times so far. It's quite the comeback story for Dead Island 2, or should I say comeback from the dead story. It was announced in 2014, nearly 10 years ago. We previewed it at E3 that year, but it was eventually delayed at the time into 2016. It switched developers entirely. 2016 came and went, and Dead Island 2 was included in our top 10 missing games of E3 2017 feature, and our missing games of E3 2018 feature. It just disappeared. In 2019, we heard that the sequel was apparently still alive and being worked on somewhere deep within THQ Nordic. Finally, last year, in 2022, we saw Dead Island 2 again and learned that it had switched developers a second time and had been entirely rebuilt from the ground up. It finally got its April 2023 release date and actually, miraculously, got released. And it's good. Duke Nukem Forever, this is not. Dead Island 2 is available now on PC, PlayStations 4 and 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10.
Alright, now with the super smashing success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie at the box office, it should be no surprise that Nintendo would be thinking about capitalizing on it with a sequel. But according to the legend himself, Shigeru Miyamoto, the video game company has plans beyond a sequel. Speaking with the Japanese news site, Miyamoto confirmed that Nintendo is indeed looking at some of its other IPs and that the company's aim is growth in all forms of media, including film. And with the recent US opening of Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood, the video game company is definitely eyeing more outlets in the entertainment space. Now, as for movies, Mario is of course the best litmus test for this, as he's the most iconic mascot Nintendo currently has. Now, outside of that, there's a plethora of other fan favorites Nintendo could possibly throw into the mix, such as Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, and everyone's favorite winged kid with a bow and arrow, Kid Icarus. You know, the most memorable Nintendo IP of them all, Kid Icarus. Yeah, I don't even think his name is Kid Icarus, it's like freaking Pit. His name is Pit. Isn't that weird? Say it's weird.
Pretty weird.
Okay, thank you. Now, the question is, what's the logical next step for Nintendo regarding movies and TV? Well, if it follows the route Sega has taken, spinning off a series based on the villain-turned-hero in Knuckles from the Sonic movie sequel, Nintendo could easily make another Donkey Kong animated series. Now, he and the other Kong family members were already introduced in the Mario movie, so it'd be the most natural transition. And there used to be a Donkey Kong series back in the day on Fox Kids where they made that ape sing, like many times.
Should know what's going on. Inka Dinka, tell me everything.
Could you imagine Seth Rogen singing in his DK voice, which is just his voice? I doubt anyone would want to hear that. Maybe, I don't know. That was terrible, right? I will never do that again. His laugh sucks. Anyways, shout out to Sterling Jarvis, who handled the singing voice for Donkey Kong on the Fox Kids show. Now, it's only been 3 whole weeks of Mario in theaters, and that plumber boy is still holding it down at the box office, moving its intake closer to $1 billion globally. It's currently at $871.83 million and shows no signs of slowing down. Now, as of right now, the Mario movie has secured the 7th best domestic third weekend, double jumping over Spider-Man No Way Home. You'd think Spider-Man could jump higher than Mario, but I guess not in this case. Take that, web crawler. Anyways, with the film continuing to crush at the box office, it'll be a long while before we see it on the small screen, at least in certain geographical areas. Now, news broke recently that certain Argentina TV channels are airing the Super Mario Bros. Movie in its entirety. And we're talking HD, people, not the one where someone just ripped off some camcorder. Now, this will obviously come with some legal ramifications from Nintendo, as we all know they don't mess around when it comes to copyright. Now, one of the networks, Gen TV, are even posting memes about the situation, making light of their flagrant copyright breach. Now, that particular meme just goes to show how desperate some folks might be to capitalize on the undeniable success of Mario. Now, good luck with whatever Nintendo decides to do with this news, because we all know they're going to do something. All right, now shout out to Total Film for these exclusive photos from Indiana Jones 5. Now, the upcoming film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny sees Indy teaming up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Helena in search of a legendary guitar pick that possesses supernatural powers bestowed onto it by an ancient demon. Wait, is that right? That can't be right. That sounds like the synopsis for the Pick of Destiny with Tenacious D. I don't know, man. Dial of Destiny, Pick of Destiny. I don't know, it's the same thing. Pick your poison, dial it up however you see fit. It's your destiny. Ha! Anyways, Indiana Jones got himself a partner and he's looking to find some sort of MacGuffin to save some ancient civilization in a far-off continent. Probably. I don't know. Now, I'm sure James Mangold will deliver us a grade A tale that'll be a perfect entry in the story filmography of the Indiana Jones series. And speaking of a perfect entry, the Sonic movie spinoff is giving us even more surprises as rapper Kid Cudi will be joining the cast of the Paramount Plus show. Now, Cudi took to both Twitter and Instagram to talk about his excitement and share his involvement with the upcoming project, which is set to take place just before the third entry of the Sonic movies. Now, while we don't know what role Kid Cudi will play, he does have a history of playing himself on screen. Now, just look at that Bill and Ted movie. It'll be interesting to see what role he does in fact take on in the Knuckles series. Now, hopefully it'll be more than just a cameo. Like perhaps he'll be the voice of another character from the Sonic universe. Now, I feel like Kid Cudi's voice would be perfect for Vector from the Chaotix if there's a chance we'll see that group on the small screen. Now, here's hoping whenever it hits Paramount Plus. All right, now CinemaCon 2023 has blessed us with the Flash movie trailer, pretty much delivering everything we'd ever want to see and expect from the DC film. And with the highly anticipated movie hitting theaters June 16th, the trailer opens up with Michael Keaton's Batman describing what it was like to lose his parents and the similar pain of losing a loved one Ezra Miller's Barry Allen has gone through with the loss of his mother. Now, the only difference is no matter how much crime-fighting Bruce Wayne does as Batman, his actions cannot bring back his parents. Now, the Flash managed to do just that, and now the entire DC multiverse must suffer the consequences of his selfish actions. Now, Barry pretty much broke the universe with the return of General Zod and a few other surprises best reserved for when the movie releases in theaters. Now, we see Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne making an appearance to deliver a few sage words to the Flash.
These scars we have make us who we are.
Now, as for a little more insight to what we can expect from the film, the official description reads, quote, "Worlds collide in The Flash when Barry uses his superpowers to travel back in time in order to change the events of the past. But when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, Barry becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation, and there are no superheroes to turn to. That is, unless Barry can coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian, albeit not the one he's looking for. Ultimately, to save the world that he is in and return to the future that he knows, Barry's only hope is to race for his life. But will making the ultimate sacrifice be enough to reset the universe? That's a question best saved for when we see the movie. And WB released this official poster showing the heroes looking off into the distance at whatever threat they might be going up against. Now, fans are well aware that the movie was inspired by the DC Comics Flashpoint story, where our titular hero inadvertently alters the DC Universe's timeline after attempting to save his mother in the past. Now, this led to the New 52 rebooting the DC Universe. Now, in the real world that we're living in, James Gunn and Peter Safran are set to reboot the DC Universe with their 8 to 10 year plan of DC films and shows in what they've dubbed Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. Now, as for the Flash movie, there's already been positive reception around it for those that have gotten early screenings. Hell, even Tom Cruise reportedly loved it. And with that, the obvious question that arises is, can we expect a sequel to the movie? Now, fortunately, director Andy Muschietti addressed it during a Q&A session at a press screening of The Flash. He said, quote, "We didn't talk about it. I think that we are waiting to see how this movie does. Of course, there is excitement about continuing the story, especially if this movie is successful. Of course, there is an architecture at DC that is brewing and being created, and the question is, will this new architecture absorb this story?" Now, that is a very valid question, as James Gunn has already laid out the roadmap for the first chapter he and Safran have planned for the DCU moving forward. Now, as of right now, there's no word just yet on whether or not Ezra Miller's Flash will return in any upcoming movies or shows. Now, given the actor's previous indiscretions, it's likely WB might want to steer clear of casting Miller in any upcoming long-term projects. Now, with alleged crimes of grooming, breaking into a neighbor's house to steal booze, and legal issues across multiple state lines, it's probably best to just wait and see how things kind of shake out with this current project before solidifying anything else. Now, the Flash movie has been pushed back multiple times for a myriad of reasons, some presumably due to Ezra Miller's public misconduct. But fortunately, the movie is still on pace to release in just a couple of months, and according to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, a sequel, yes, that's right, a sequel to the film has already been penned by the writer of the Aquaman movie, supposedly in case this film does well in theaters. So we'll have to see how things shake out come June. Right now in Marvel news, Zoe Saldana is done with Marvel movies after Guardians 3. Now, speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, she said, quote, "I don't think this is the end for the Guardians. It is the end for me for Gamora." And honestly, you can't blame her. She's played the role in 4 different Marvel movies dating back to 2014. Now, might be time for her to just, take a break. Now, Dave Bautista has also said he's done with Drax, so it seems our Guardians are going their separate ways. But in that interview with THR, Zoe did tease that it might not be the end for the Guardians, which could mean some of the members could pop up in other movies and TV shows. Now, we've seen it several times in the MCU, so it's more than possible for some of the heroes to make a return. Or a future Guardians movie could have a new lineup, as multiple characters have joined and left the team's ranks in the comics, so who knows? Now, here's at least hoping we'll see the return of some of our fan favorites, like Rocket and Groot. Now, speaking of which, Beetlejuice is making a return in a sequel to the 1988 movie. Now, people in attendance at CinemaCon briefly saw the Beetlejuice logo pop up during WB Discovery Showcase, reigniting the fan base of the Ghost with the Most. Now, while not confirmed, there's a report circulating that production will begin in May or June of this year, with Tim Burton and Michael Keaton set to return. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be a Beetlejuice movie without those two elements and Winona Ryder, so fingers crossed that they'll all be attached to this project. Now, looking at the Flash trailer, Keaton's in great physical shape and still primed to play the green-haired Ghost.
It's showtime.
And with that, we wrap things up with another franchise that's returning from the dead with Totally Spies. Y'all remember that cartoon? The iconic French-Canadian animated series will be hitting Cartoon Network and Max next year, serving as the 7th season of the classic 2000s TV series. Now, why after all this time they're dusting off this forgotten franchise is beyond me, but here's hoping they'll do the very same with Code Lyoko. Now, those shows used to air back-to-back and were the jam back in the day.
I'm Max Scoville filling in for Stella Chung, and that was your Weekly Fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. I'll see you then. Well, actually, I won't. I think Stella will be back. See you later.